Hey, how's it going? I hope all is well. Today we're going to talk about some interesting photo techniques, such as Photoshop before Photoshop. So since Photoshop and GIMP has been in the market, a lot of people have been making some beautiful artwork, even AI artwork. I've used it over the years actually, either be fun or through work or whatever have you. So I understand how long and dedicated it takes. But in the history, during the Soviet Union time with Stalin and Lenin, it was a big market, and it was well utilized. It was used as comrades fell out of political view with Stalin and removed from images completely. Or he was trying to take them out of the history books. Either they were removed from office or they were executed. And also to make himself look grander. Each figure was carefully scratched and painted out of the frame. The dictator commissioned an army of painters to create his official portraits, offering some artists massive amounts of money to paint him. A lot of times, Stalin made himself in photos a key moment in history, or he also had the technicians of the photographs to make him look taller, or more handsome, or airbrush him. For example, as the head of Stalin's secret police, I'm sure I'm going to butcher this, but Nikolai Yavush oversaw the executions of more than 500,000 Soviet citizens during the Great Purge, where over 750,000 people died. After Yavush himself was executed, the photos of Stalin and his cronies scrolling through Moscow Canal was neatly updated to remove the poisoned dwarf, which was his name. Used by pros, the technique was to fix the huge loss of resolution between the original and then the modified one, or to get rid of people in this circle. Usually there are 3 areas impacted. The dark area is easy and the texture of water is all there. Thus, as done in Photoshop technique, it is then physically done. Cut and paste with real scissors or blades. From a third copy, texture of water is cut and pasted in place, but probably painted with ink. Doing the black area can be accomplished with either pen and ink, or all of it, and then re-photographed, and then the edges of the paste, small lines, to be precise, can be scraped off at the second negative with a sharp knife. And the dark area better defined in the same manner, yet the loss of the gray fade on the bottom of the rail and the dent that shows up, and the flaw in the water running parallel to the rail. Even though nowadays you may notice it, back in the day, people didn't think that this was possible. Thus, his pursuing goals of doing this Photoshop work. Another example is here during World War II. During the history of the Soviet Union, during which it lost some 20 million lives, the retouchers attempted to improve on reality. The clumsy photo montage of Red Army troops crossing the Danube River was probably created by stacking a snippet of one photographic negative atop another. Still, amazing work for that time period. Hours of delicate work would have been required for this montage of geese and a downed Nazi airplane sinking in a river. Even the last digital cameras would struggle to create a crisp image of the airplane plummeting to Earth at a close range. The action photo from 1942 includes a hand-sketched tree. Well done, Rembrandt. This German soldier and his artillery piece was probably the most iconic photo from the Red Army victory over the Nazi during the Battle of Kursk in 1943. But Soviet retouchers couldn't leave well enough alone and added cannons and a cluster of shells in the image. Beautiful work. Even the legendary Soviet photojournalist Yevgeny Kalashi, I probably butchered that very badly, I apologize, admitted to altering photographs when his editors required it. In this image, a fleet of Soviet bombers swoop above Germans' rank as the Red Army battles its way through Berlin. Another example is a major challenge for the Kremlin's airbrush department, was the famously speckled forehead of this gentleman. Most photographs from this person back in the early days are from different angles that conceal his birthmark. But in the official Kremlin releases, like this 1978 portrait of the future Soviet leader, some masterful airbrushing was employed. Take the famous photo of Soviet soldiers raising their flag over the bombed out Reichstag during the Battle of Berlin at the end of World War II. This iconic photo was staged. It was inspired by the flag rising at Hiroshima. It was also altered specifically to sidestep Stalin's anger. The photograph concealed the wrists of the soldiers, which were covered in stolen wristwatches they had looted from German citizens on their way to the area, which, if they were caught, they would be either hanged or jailed. Stalin wasn't the only dictator who loved to doctor photos. Adolf Hitler removed his propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. I don't care if I butchered that name. From a photo of him and director Leni Riefenstahl in 1937, through his motivations for doing so are uncertain, which I'm sure it's because of the butchering, but no, I'm sure Hitler knew of all of his acts. Probably Hitler wanted to be the center of attention, like a middle child. Mussolini circulated a famous photograph of him riding a horse, after cropping out the handler holding the horse. And Kim Jong-un apparently uses Photoshop to make his ears look smaller. Don't we all need that? Such a day and age of Instagram and TikTok for making things smaller. So what do you think of the Photoshop back in the day? Do you want it back? Would you do all that work to alter your photographs? Or would you much prefer Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you may be using? I know there's a lot of cool techniques out, but I found this quite interesting in history. It takes a lot of time and effort for these photo editors in the past to do all their work, doing pen and ink or needle outlines of so forth and cut and paste and all that fun jazz. I'm sure they would make Hobby Lobby quite accessible and quite guaranteed a lot of money back in the day. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the new subscribers. I will be creating more videos shortly. Thank you for your patience and have a great day. Bye.